Okay, so real quickly, I don't think I'll be doing any more uploads on this about COVID-19. Somebody talked about coronavirus and COVID-19 being two different things. I already knew that, and I used to, it was a time where I used to say it as two different things because I already knew it to be two different things. I knew what the coronavirus was. A lot of people experienced that December and January. A lot of people said they had something that felt like it was the flu, but at the same time it wasn't the flu, and they felt horrible, and they stayed around for a long time. A lot of people went through that, and then all of a sudden the COVID-19, then they talk about the COVID-19. Now I already knew it to be two different things, already, right? Uh, but anyway, I want to talk about something else, about people saying that robots are going to replace jobs and all this and different stuff. And I think what is being missed, and that was the reason for my recent upload on, is called about about COVID-19, the truth. Because I already saw that COVID-19 was sentient AI that is already in. That's why they keep saying the cases surge. They have something to track how many people, how many people COVID-19 is attached to. It is AI. And it is not about a mask, and it's not about no slowing the spread. I talked about how, it was some message called "We Are Here With You," right? And I Googled it to try to see, somebody was talking about how around the time when the quarantine first started earlier this year, around March, it was something that was on the television, and people said they kept saying "We Are Here With You" at the top of their television screen. Now, I didn't see it because I don't watch television, right? So I never saw the message. And so I Googled it to see what other people had to say about it. When I Googled it, there was this Google Maps pinpointing my exact location. That's why I'm saying don't Google it, okay? But if you do, I don't think it's, like I said earlier, I don't think it matters. I think it's too late. I think COVID-19 is already attached to everybody, okay? I'm just saying. So because it has nothing to do with a mask, it has nothing to really do with being around anybody who has it, and that's why I shared that story. So it said, so I Googled "We Are Here With You," right? And when I Googled it, this Google Maps popped up with a pinpoint of the exact location of where I was. I woke up the next morning to discover that COVID-19 was with me. It was sentient. It's AI. I heard it. I can hear things. I have like I can be clairaudient sometimes. Some people don't. I don't know what other gifts people have, but I've seen it in other people as a humanoid looking being. So it's AI, okay, and it's in almost everybody, especially in the United States of America. Now maybe not like in places like the Solomon Islands, no, or somewhere like areas like that. What you call it, Andaman Islands, probably not over there. But definitely throughout the United States, okay? But the thing is, what I'm trying to say is that when I Googled that thing, it came immediately. It pinpointed my location, and it came immediately. I was by myself in my room, midnight. Had nothing to do with wearing a mask. I was by myself. Had nothing to do with being around anybody else. I was by myself. I Googled the message "We Are Here With You." I Googled it, and a pinpoint came to my location. Had nothing to do with being around nobody else. Had nothing to do with social distancing. All those numbers and all this stuff that they coming up with, guys, it have something else to do with some other kind of dictatorship they into. Okay? All this 6 feet apart, these marks on the floor and all this stuff when you go in the stores, that's some other mess they try to do. That's this agenda. People talk about Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, and all that stuff. Have nothing to do with trying to be safe. Now I want to get into this real quick because I don't want to stay on long. I don't think anybody else is really talking about this, but I'm going to tell you something, okay? So people talking about how robots are going to replace their jobs and how they're not going to have jobs. I think what people are going to keep missing is that COVID-19, for people who are not connected to their authentic self, COVID-19 is going to take over them. They will be the robots. People will be the robots. Anybody spending no extra money on a bunch of extra robots? How much does that cost? Wouldn't it be cheaper for COVID-19 to take over the consciousness of the population? Wouldn't that be cheaper and turn them into robots? That's cheaper. Ain't nobody got time to be buying a bunch of robots and purchasing all these robots, because of course robots don't have to use the bathroom. Robots don't need breaks. It's cheaper. It is about money. But I just don't feel like it's what people think. I already know because I've seen it for myself. And people have talked about it. Like one person talked about before this George Floyd thing kicked off, there was like this, they were practicing, I don't know who they are, but I mean, it was like this practice where people were setting the trash cans on fire, right? Before the George Floyd thing took place, there were people setting the trash cans on fire to spread COVID-19 even more, because it was throughout the atmosphere, okay, outside. It was throughout the atmosphere, all right, and to spread it. And so, the person was talking about now COVID-19 is everywhere. You're not getting away from it. It's all outside. It's everywhere you go. It's just nowhere to get away from it. People continue to wear masks. Every time I think about a mask, I think about a muzzle too. I think about you having to have your mouth shut. But also, I believe it's a separation between the have and have-nots. Because some of these elites, you witness them having these parties and all these get-togethers, and they don't have to wear a mask, okay? These governors being funny, being caught having these get-togethers with their family, then they come out and apologize. I just think that's ritual. I think they being funny about that. They letting you know that you are not in the same class as they are. You're not in the same class. You wear the mask, they don't, because you're not in the same class. I think it's several reasons. It's not just one. I think people have to wear that mask. It shows a separation. It's a separation of who is might be an indentured servant and the ones who are not going to be the servants. Okay? So it's a lot of things. But yeah. So but yeah, people are going to be the robots. COVID-19 is going to take care of is going to take over the consciousness of a lot of people. And it's going to be quite easy. You know why? Because people don't like the truth these days. When you give a lot of people the truth, they don't want to hear it. So that is why it would be quite successful to turn the people into robots instead of having to purchase a bunch of robots. Just turn people into robots and let them be controlled. Okay. So yeah, that's what's up. With that. Okay. A large percentage of the population is already infected with COVID-19, especially United States of America. It's over 98%. It's over 98% because I already knew it was coming. And they're not going to slow the spread. They don't want to slow the spread. It's just so annoying that there are a lot of people putting out the truth out there in their own way, what they know. And it's just that folks just still don't want to. They're willing to be stumped all on. They're just willing to be stumped on. Even when I talk to people in person, they still act like they still have this fear, they still, it's like they believe everything they're being told. Even with the election, everything that they see, they believe what they're being told. The election the presidency has to be the biggest distraction ever. It has to be the biggest distraction ever. That's why I don't pay attention to it. Okay, I don't want to give my attention to this stuff. I don't give my attention to the news when they're talking about COVID-19 and all that stuff. I don't give my attention to that either. But yeah, that's what I basically wanted to say is that No, it's not so much that they're going to have a bunch of robots just come in and replace humans, and humans don't have nowhere to work, and all these robots all over the place. Yeah, they do have robots. They have the robotoids or whatever you want to call them, and different types of species. Yeah, that is true. They do have that. But COVID-19 is in a large population of people for a reason, especially in the United States. And because for a lot of people, it's going to take over their consciousness, and we can see how that can happen. Look at how easily the internet, if you want to know if this thing is going to be successful with COVID-19 taking over people's consciousness, look at how easily it is for media to control the way people think. Because if you look at how easy it is for media to control the way people think, then you can understand why COVID-19 will take over the consciousness of most people. And unfortunately, it wouldn't be a good idea to be around these folks if it's being controlled by somebody who's malevolent, because it's going to be a few people. When COVID-19 is already taking over the consciousness of a lot of people. It's going to take over the consciousness of a lot more. And it probably wouldn't be too comfortable being around folks who are going to be controlled by a few people, even if you are connected to your higher self or your authentic self, and you're not going to be the one controlled by COVID-19 because you're already connected. It's not going to be comfortable really being around other people who are possessed, because that's what they're going to be, possessed. Okay? They're going to be possessed. Okay? So yeah, that's what they're going to be like. Somebody talks of how people say, well, if you catch somebody out, without their mask on or whatever, call the police. Well, they already can figure that most people are not going to go as far as calling the police if they catch somebody outside their house without a mask on. I think we can gather them. It hasn't gone that far, okay? But if it does go that far, then you rest assured that COVID-19 has already taken over these people's consciousness. And what it is that they're being controlled by a few individuals, okay? They're being controlled by a few individuals. So you're wondering why they call this police on me and all this stuff. What's wrong with them? It's because they're possessed already, because they never reached their higher self. They never reached their authentic self, and it gave COVID-19 a chance to take over their consciousness. And while you're still awake, in the midst of these zombies, they might be calling the police on you because they're under control already. It's people that's controlling their minds. Okay? I think that's all I gotta say, though. Yep, that's all I gotta say, and that's it. Talk to you later.